Hello, everybody. This is Windy Wanders the City. It is June 7th, a Friday. We're in the afternoon. Beautiful day here in Chicago. Um, today we're going to take the last mile. So there's 3 miles of the Bloomingdale Trail, or the 606. We're going to take the last trail, or the last mile. But I've always talked to you about the idea that there's so much graffiti here, or graffiti and murals here in Chicago. And I'm not going to walk all the way down, but I'll give you just an example of how long it is. So we've got 2 more full blocks of this, but we're going to walk back towards Humboldt, because Humboldt is where we left off the last time we were here. And what I'm going to do is give you kind of an image of the street here, or the murals here on the sidewalk. Sorry, I want to let that car come by. And this, I don't really know about the history of and who is who in the graffiti world, but I feel like these are all people's names that are on here. Um, they are signed. So this one's signed Jacob, but it's also signed Strike over here. So I don't know if there's 2 different things going on there. I'll back out a little bit and give you a better scan of this. So we've got the boys' crew. Yet another one. So yeah, somebody will have to tell me in the chat afterwards that, is this tagging, or is this art, or um, how does this stay up here? And how does the next guy just say, well, I want that part of the wall, so I'm going to take that part of the wall. We'll keep going further down. And then as we hit the end of this block, we'll be at Humboldt. And that's where we left off last week. This is interesting. So there's definitely been too many people whose lives were shortened by gunfire. Oh, I like this as well. It's called the Tunnel of Blessings. You're seeing there. I don't know if this is the pictures of the people that are on that memorial over there. And then finally, just a very large mural of the ball player. And then I'm going to walk back across Humboldt. Remember that Humboldt's a boulevard, so as we look up the street here, this is a one-way coming south, and then you'll have the 2 lanes of main thoroughfare traffic, so usually that's considered a frontage road over there. Then you've got the 2 main lanes of traffic, which in this situation there's actually 4 lanes. And then we'll head over and we'll hit the northbound. There's a nice community garden here. So they're taking advantage of the shade that's underneath the bridge here, and they're naming it the Humboldt Community Shade Garden. And finally, we would go across the northbound. Beautiful tree-lined. There are some really magnificent streets out here in Chicago. This neighborhood, as you're around Humboldt, there are still some tough neighborhoods up here. If you go a little bit further south, you'll definitely see people on drug corners selling retail pharmaceuticals in that area. Now, it's generally a safe place. They don't really care about civilians in that area. I would not try to go there and sell retail pharmaceuticals on your own. Howdy, Joe Cool. How are you today? So today we're on the Bloomingdale Trail. We're going to take Humboldt on out to Hamlin, which is the end of the trail. So it's about a 1 mile walk. By the way, I'm going to be on the other channel. I'll be live this evening because it's graduation night in Chicago. For those of you who don't know, Joe Cool is Joe Cool Chicago, a longtime police auditor here in Chicago. He just recently put up another, he's only been back for a short time. He had some time out west, came back, and in the short time he was here, he already came across an incident where the police were giving a young kid a difficult time. And similar to with the police, so north. If you go west, so the 606 goes from Ashland all the way to Hamlin, and we're about 1800 north. One of the things you'll find about the history of police watching is when the cameras are on, sometimes the police will be really cool, and then as soon as you take the police away or the cameras away, the police will overstep their bounds. So, and it's good that we've got people out there like that. Very cool. If you give me a neighborhood, I'll come find you. I got to figure out where. I think I'll have to build another channel. You know what? I don't even know what district this is up here. I do know that there's a police station over, like just off of Milwaukee at about 3,000 west. Excellent. That's great, Joe. As we've seen before, right, Chicago is made up of alleys. So here, what you're seeing, sorry, is that the services happen in the alley. Most people's garages are back here. Most people's utilities are coming in from the back of the house. Most people, their waste goes out the back side of the house. And that's really what all of these alleys are made for, and they're intentionally built as a service lane so that the streets can be for your front door neighbors and for people who are visiting the park. And again, as we look south down the street, the street here doesn't go north, but at the next, so that was the alley again. Then you come to Whipple, right? And at Whipple, as we look north, beautiful tree-lined space, right? You can see the crown in the road. I don't know if the camera is showing that right now, but these roads are rather old, and they tend to be very high in the middle. And that also helps for the snow removal and the rain removal. It's a beautiful day here, and you're going to see a lot of cyclists and a lot of runners, walkers, dog walkers, pets. Very typical in this area is we'll see parks along the side of the trail, and this is no exception. So you've got this little snaking, winding trail down here that brings you into a beautiful little park down below us. It's Julia de Burgos Park, and this one has the bigger playground. Right, so there's some green space over here, and then to the west, you see the playground. There's a little fake spider rock down there, climbing area with a trampoline in the middle, but the ropes on the outside, and just a climbing wall here that kind of looks like a butterfly. As we keep pushing westward, we will go past a couple of factories turned into retail spaces. I think we're going to see a brewery up here, and we're going to see a coffee shop up here. Our next street is Albany. Now, something that's happening a little bit strangely here is that the alleys and the streets are offset here. So um, it's a street to the north, but it's an alley to the south, just like it was back there with Whipple. And they'll finally get back in sync, I think, at St. Louis. We'll have to check that, though. Keep moving down. Now we've got Troy, and it's the exact opposite, right? I've got the street on the south side. So kind of head up over there. You've got the street on the south side and an alley on the north side. And here you can really see a lot of the garbage cans that are out there. Nice little row houses here. Very quiet, beautiful tree-lined streets. We're going to get a set of alleys again. So now they've kind of gotten back in sync that we've got an alley north and south. We're seeing park benches. We've seen this before. This is Kedzie. We've seen the park benches before. Just a nice place to stop, relax, meditate, rest. Kedzie is a bigger street. It also has a median in the middle. So this is 4 lanes of traffic, 2 north, 2 south. This street, it's a pretty lengthy street. It's not as long as Western because it does break up a little bit more, but this will go all the way south to the south side of Chicago, and it'll go pretty far north. It might change names around Homan for a little bit too. Father and son doing a little bicycle riding there. Young fella's got a good clip going there. Another runner coming up from behind us. We're midday on a weekday, so it's understandable that there's not as much traffic as you would think for a beautiful day out here. But it's still a very nice day out. We're getting the street view going north on Sawyer. And then I'll take us over the tree growth here, or the vine growth here, and we can see the street south on Sawyer. Continue to push westward. There is something that's a little bit interesting up ahead of us. So back when we were on Damon Avenue in the first episode, you would have noticed that there was actually a large area on top of the trail where in that situation it's a concrete park. Up here you'll see that same large area, but this time it's going to be a grassy park. We're also going to see that you can get off the path to our left ahead, or the south side of the path, and you go down into that. We've got the large residential complex is what you're seeing over the top of these trees right here. And then a little bit further down in the distance, that's, again, the coffee shop. It's got several retail spots in it, but it's got a coffee shop and a brewery in there. Now we're on Spalding. Hopefully you're noticing how beautiful the green is here. So in the springtime, and we've had a lot of water, Chicago can blossom very nicely. On the left-hand side, right, you've got the sidewalk that leaves the path, and then it's got a little ramp that'll head down. And you can see the signage there. And we'll see it more clearly when I catch up to the building. I like that. So if you can't see this, I'll do the camera for 1 second. Settings, camera. Let's hit the telephoto. You can see, right, coffee and beer right down here. I'll bring us back to our traditional setting. Go back to the back camera. And we'll continue down. Here you're seeing these metal spots here. They're actually holding the earth back. So these are driven very deeply into the ground. And maybe 400 meters back, we would have seen a sloped hill downward. But here, the residential properties are just on the other side of this tree-lined wall. So there's a man-made barricade here to keep the earthworks tight on top. And that would have been back in the days even of the rail trestles. When the rail trestles were here, that's what would have kept the land in here. Now, this is new. I talked about that park that was out here. This used to be open space. So the fence that we're seeing here is new. I don't know why why they've blocked that off, because I always felt that was free green space for the neighborhood. Now comes, when I'm running, one of my favorite parts of this trail. So we've seen before, right, that I'm walking on this blue thin ribbon, and that's rubberized. So that's kind of a soft surface below your feet, and then it's concrete in the middle. Ahead here, just like at the far eastern end, there is a gravel soft surface side trail, and just a more intimate park setting. And we're coming past the school, H.B. Stowe School, on West Wabansia, one of Chicago's public schools. Harriet Beecher Stowe, which, if I'm remembering correctly, darn it, I can't remember if it was Uncle Tom or the Underground Railroad. And we're taking the more natural route here on the crushed gravel, crushed limestone. This is the end of that park that we saw that was fenced off on the other side. So you can see the square green space area. Cyclist over here just taking a break. And as we move further west, you're going to see more multifamily units rather than single-family homes. And just happens to be at the period in which it was built up, and the wealth of the neighborhood at the time it was built. Now you can see that we've gotten really intimate. Well, you can see clearly to the south, right through the fence, but there's a lot of greenery between us and the trail. So it has that look of, just a hidden path up on the path. Got a pretty deep park over here as well. Um, you'll see wildlife in there, right? The raccoons, the coyotes. Very seldom you see deer up here, though. Now we're at Drake, and right, more industrial in this area. We've got a manufacturing plant that we'll go see real quick with the stacks, and then the south side of the street. As we've been seeing all along, you've got the ramp that'll help you exit off the path. Continuing on through, we're getting the trees are a little bit grown over the path, so you can get a little bit of shade. But it's pretty exposed here, right? Um, the sun, even at its highest in the summer, isn't getting north of this area, so you're getting some version of a southern sun, no matter what, when you're on here. Our next street here is Central Park, and now we've got an AT&T service space. Factory up ahead on the left. Factory converted into, both of them are factories that have been converted into residential. And like we saw just a little bit ago, we've got another side trail. So the side trail is usually less traveled. So we'll go ahead and take that. Allow the people to stay off film that they don't want to. And yes, I said film. Merging back to the main trail. I can see ahead of us, there are people, there's a little spiral ramp at the end of the parkway before you go down onto Hamlin. I can see people meeting up there. You'll also be able to see more obviously that this was a railway at one point in time, because we're going to be able to see into the Union Pacific Rail yard. And it's just that this spur is no longer active, but it's basically, it used to be a four-way junction, and it's now a three-way junction. And this allows trains that are either coming from the west or from the north to be able to route through the city on that set of tracks. The commuter trails do as well, so the Metra will also travel in that space. Our last building on the left is a storage, self-storage utility. And on the right, we've got a YMCA. We've got the street here is Lawndale. And then you've got the YMCA just behind these trees. and we'll kind of walk up onto this high point. In order to exit, we have to go to the left, but in order to go up to the high point, we'll again take the right-hand path and head up there. You can see a metro train coming through right now. Actually, that was Amtrak, so that's probably going all the way up to Milwaukee today. They call this Bloomhenge. We'll kind of walk up this little spiral promontory point. Below us, ahead of us, is the where the trail would have exited had we not taken the left to come up the hill. And you would have been able to push out going north. We'll keep heading around here. And we are at Equinox Park. So what you're seeing here is the winter solstice is going to be that the sun line, the shadow line is going to come down the route over here. In springtime, you've got the equinox, as well as the fall on the other side. And then we can't really see how it goes out, but that would be the summer equinox. But as you can see, the red train that's ahead of us, I'll put us back out on the macro lens. You can see there's the red Union Pacific train out there, and that's kind of the western spur. The northern spur would have gone to this side of it. And that these tracks used to come, right, if you look down here, we're looking back down eastward down the 606, and that would have been the railroad tracks. And they would have come in basically on this setting. You can see ahead of me, there's the platform with the yellow bags on top of it. That would have been the connector of this spur of the trains. And then over here is just a train yard, and what they can do is some service work on trains that are here. This might be a place where they can stage trains or hold a freight train before allowing it to head back into the city or north because of traffic on the rails. All right, so there you have it. We've now completed the entire 606. I'll go home and I'll put together an edited version of this.